Time being 6 o'clock, I'd like to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present with the exception of Clay Kelly. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. The first item on our agenda this evening are announcements from the Health Department. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to our Health Agent, Chris Schultz, to provide us with those announcements.
A reminder to everybody that we have flu and COVID vaccines available by appointment. You can just go online, sign up, come down to our office and get them. We had a little bit of weather today. I've gotten some reports of missing barrels, so I just ask people before you call and report your barrel missing, check with your neighbor or your neighbor down the street or the guy 3 blocks over. They may have your barrel. Other than that, no announcements.
All right, thank you. Any questions? None? Great. All right, moving on to our discussion on action items for the evening. The first is a discussion on animal regulations. Everybody should have a copy of a draft set of regulations. What these are a set of regulations from the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards that are a draft of the keeping of animals. Obviously, we talked about stables before. This is included in that. This is something that we can find as a draft readily available. So we can kind of handle this a couple of different ways. I think let's first look at these as they are here just for a moment, flip through. What we've done in the past when we've had drafts like these is if you look through, stuff's bolded or blanked out here that requires us to make some decisions. I'm not expecting us to do those today, but that would be something that we should pretty much, if we're going to roll with these, fill in the blanks, and that is basically our draft regulation. And from there, if there's things we want to add, subtract as necessary, we can. Some things to keep in mind, we talked a lot last meeting about like square footage and things of that nature that are actually not included in this regulation. Doesn't mean we can't add them. This is just a skeleton draft. So if we want to add those things in, we can talk about doing that as well. So if we just want to take a minute, take a look at these and see if there's any discussion we want to have or any thoughts on some of the fill in the blank areas here.
I like that a potbelly pig is considered a household pet. Maybe that's what I need to convince my husband to get me.
Chris, I just want to make note when we run through these again, let's make sure we add a space under the 2018 so it doesn't say that. I don't want to print that with the wrong date on it.
Where's that?
The last page, it says 2018.
Oh, yeah.
So just like a couple of things, looking at this right now, because this is basically just the draft with Abington stuck in. On page 3, the definition of wetlands says, or by the Abington Wetlands Protection Ordinance / bylaw. We need to look up exactly what that's called and what that is, so we reference the correct piece of that thing. So that's just something we'll need to look at as well.
For the general requirements, I wonder, so I know it is standards for keeping of animals. General requirements says all applications with usage to the Board of Health for review and approval should meet the criteria set forth. Should we say explicitly what those applications are for? Like applications for keeping of livestock animals?
Are you on the
Page
third?
3.
Page
Bottom
3,
of
okay,
page
so that's
3.
fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
For general requirements, all applications must be submitted to the Board of Health. What is the application for? You know what I mean? Like it just,
Is that defined at all?
permit is required for anyone keeping one or more animals as defined in this regulation.
Yeah, I mean,
Applicants
think, like, the
shall be submitted on a
applicant.
form supplied for each location where animals are kept. I just feel like if it's the
Yeah.
first thing, I feel like it should just say
right.
what
I
it's for.
I assume that we would only have probably one application form anyways, though. So I mean,
Okay.
it'd just be
Okay,
I think it's anyone seeking a permit to keep one or more animals pursuant to this regulation.
yeah. So
yeah, something along those
Yeah.
lines would just feel,
because then I assume it would have check boxes. This is the animals you're keeping. Yada yada yada. So
yeah, no, I understand what the
Yeah.
application is. I think that the way it's written, all applications for the keeping of animals as laid out in sections D and E
Yeah, I mean, we
are there,
can,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Just, cause again, like, this is not supposed, this is, the whole point of this is not for commercial. This is for like homesteaders, like someone who's
Right.
like brand new, I ordered 5 chickens that are coming in May, I know nothing about it, and now I also have to fill out an application.
right.
Or, you know, so I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible, or just as clear as possible. So that, sorry, that's the, I had seen that before and I wanted to just, I know it says it later, but we just went through all those other regulations that made it
Yeah,
much cleaner and
absolutely.
easier to read.
I also want to know where's section E that they're referring to?
And what are we gonna do about roosters and cockerels? Cause it says, note that in cities and or towns where homes are in areas too densely populated, a city or town may wanna exempt roosters and cockerels from the definition of livestock.
Yeah, quite a few towns, say explicitly no roosters. Abington is just right now, a noise ordinance, like you can just call for the noise. So we could decide to do that, same as the keeping of less than, you know, if it's less than 6 chickens, you don't require a permit, cause they just need less space or something, so you'll see that too. I think they're saying, C and D literally under 4.
There's
Or
only
sorry,
a,
D and E.
I would
There's only a
consider
D, though.
us
There's no
not
E.
Oh, so that's not, yeah, so that
Yeah.
doesn't even make
Densely
sense.
populated.
yeah,
personally,
I'm with you, Katie, on that. I wouldn't consider us to be densely populated.
Yet.
There was, I thought, a caveat to that. On page 4, section C, 5C, see the above definition of livestock, roosters and cockerels should only be prohibited in areas where homes are in areas too densely populated. They should be considered on the board by the case-by-case basis. I think it's the exact same thing it says in the front. Depending upon the density of the municipality and the location of the proposed site. So I guess that's where the case-by-case basis would come on. If somebody's applying, then I suppose we could take that into consideration in an application, or the health department, depending upon
Right,
how
say,
this
yes,
is
you can have
worded.
chickens, you just can't have a rooster in this
Some-
location.
Exactly, yeah.
What would, I,
Parameters for that.
yeah, cause like, I'm just gonna use mine for an example, because I feel like you could say no to me. I wouldn't want a rooster anyways, I've dealt with it, I don't want to. We have an acre of land, but we have multiple pieces touch the back part
Mhm.
that are like their decks. We checked in with all of them, but it feels densely populated, even though it is an acre of land.
Yeah.
Right, so like, cause no matter where I put it in my property, anyone can see it, so like,
Also, I mean,
hear
I don't know that we need to regulate what the specifics is if we're not gonna ban them outright.
yeah.
Then we could just on a case-by-case, look at the property and make that determination, or I suppose it would probably be the health department that's doing it.
Yeah,
bulk of
but,
the
because
work.
that, one of my concerns would be from an enforcement point of view, if you're banning roosters, we have roosters already in town.
Yeah, oh, there's the
Yeah.
grandfathering section.
Would
I don't know
you- yeah.
whether that's on page
I mean, I
5.
don't know what their lifespan is, but
5-6 years.
That's
once they
it?
go, they go.
They might live longer, but it's about
Life.
5 to 6. So, right, and then there's also, you know,
So I mean, I just assumed then if we were to not do that, then C would just come out because we're not prohibiting.
Wait, so we're saying we're gonna get rid of C? The keeping of roosters, cockerels, and non-exempt wild animals in accordance with Massachusetts general
is
law.
prohibited. We're saying
Is
it's not
prohibited.
prohibited.
Yeah.
For
Right.
us, yeah.
Okay. Wait, so does the wording have to be changed there then?
We would just take that section out.
Okay, that's what I thought. Number 5, section C.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Do we have anything, like any bizarre pets that we're
Oh,
aware of
here's,
in this town?
okay.
My dog's a little strange, but.
Does it count?
Yeah,
So I think
Joe Kenny maybe. Yes.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
So I think D and F, I'm sorry, D and E as it was relating to in the first section 4 is actually 5D and 5E.
Yeah, so we just need to
That makes
clarify
sense, so we
that.
should,
Set forth in,
For,
I'll just make note of it, we'll find a better way to
heading
word it.
5, yeah,
Subsection E or something like that.
yeah.
We'll find a better way to word that so it's clear. As part of this, we'll need to come up with a fee as well. It won't be in the regulation, but it'll have to go on the fee schedule. So, Chris, was there a number on that, do you remember, that needed to be included?
I kind of remember
With
writing
the
it
stable
down.
regulation, was it 40 or something like that?
I think it
It's
was
set by town
42.
meeting. Yeah,
For stable, it was 40, yeah.
right. So we'll need to, that'll need to be set by town meeting,
Yeah.
but the, which we can add into here. And then we will need to set a separate fee for everything else in our fee schedule.
No greater than 40.
No great, okay. Yeah, I mean,
Homesteader, we shouldn't charge people for keeping chickens. I don't think that
I was
that's right.
thinking along those lines. and-
I don't think that that's right. So, as something that was just accepted as something you did 40, 50 years ago, you had chickens in a garden.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden ask people to pay $5 to keep chickens when the reason they're keeping them is to save money and take care of bugs, and there's so many things that they offer. I understand like the stable, because it's a larger structure, there's more manure, there's other things in place when you're getting a permit. We also have very few of those, but I think for something that, you know, Joe Schmo could do, I don't think we should be charging a fee for that. I think we can have an you can apply, so that way we know where they all are. So it might be if you have a rat problem in a neighborhood and you're like, wow, 5 out of these 7 homes have chickens, we need to follow up on the fact that maybe they're not maintaining their feed or
Yep.
in a safe place. I think that's great to track, but I don't think we should be charging for that, so.
I can see it both ways. I think part of it, I completely agree for the individual keeping the chickens, but then on the other hand, on behalf of the chickens, you know, I want to make sure that their living conditions are.
So that's why you would still do an application, there's
Permit.
just no fee for the application, is what I'm saying. So
But
like-
someone would still have to go out and,
I don't think there should be a fee. I mean, I think you're talking a very small operation, you're not talking.
They don't even
something
have to
that's
go
on a
out. You could
commercial
just-
Basis, it's just,
Yeah, it says right
There's-
here too, that you
Yeah.
can you just have to show the plot,
there's
a
no.
plot plan
yeah,
with
there's-
dimensions.
There's no inspection or anything like
Yeah.
that, so no one's going out of the office.
A hand-drawn plot plan is acceptable so long as it is sufficient detail and quality to allow for board review. So I could just take, here's my house, here's where I'm planning to build the coop, property line's right here, and this is all fenced in, road is here. This is what we're doing, it's 10 by 10. Right?
okay.
Like that could be, I would do a little bit better of a job, but that's like the general idea, right? I think that that's reasonable.
Or I would suggest, I mean, I don't have a vote here, but just speaking from an administrative point of view, perhaps with a new permit, you charge a nominal fee, and then annually, when they're renewing, it's free.
I like that.
There'd be some,
Yeah.
there'd be with some administrative work done on the front end that we'd have to do, and, you know,
I
where
can see that. I think
fees are
that's-
only supposed to cover
I think
that,
that's-
but,
Yeah, I just think yearly, that.
yeah, I agree with that, it's,
Yeah,
like
I feel like there needs
It's
to
not
be
like you're doing
some,
anything after
yeah.
that, really. It's just
Right.
really the initial permit.
Yeah.
right?
Plus, there's the other thing, and, you know, if you're looking at something like 5, it's nominal to begin with, but, from experience, if you don't at least initially charge something, then people aren't gonna get the permit, because what's the consequence of not doing it?
Okay,
yeah, I feel like there needs to be some skin in the game there, so I,
Yeah.
you know.
I
Wait.
like that.
I wanna say, and I'd have to look at them again, I think some of the towns that had animal ones had lengthier stable ones, and a more like a $20 or $40 fee for a new stable might work, because that would be a lot of work for an inspector. I actually would have to go out and inspect a stable, but, yeah, I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
walking around looking at chicken coops.
Tractor Supply, chicken
Yeah,
coop, yeah.
no.
I'm cool with that, like a new application.
Yeah, so, and that's something we can assess separately on the
Yeah,
fee
because that would
schedule,
also
so-
be like, I guess I consider pot-bellied pigs not, because they usually have a large space outside, but according to this, that's not true.
Can't imagine there's too many of them.
You never know.
So I would say we need to add a section 7 here that needs to say that the stable regulation fee,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the stable fee will be set by town meeting. Everything else can be assessed in the fee schedule. And that way we can decide what that is when we go to vote on the fee schedule and just leave this as is wording wise.
Yeah,
Then both those will be there. The grandfathering section says this section should be deleted if there's no current regulation or permit already in place, so guess what? That's deleted.
Where is that one, Aaron?
That is on the bottom of
right here.
page 5.
Bottom of page 5. So we're getting rid of I.
Yes.
So how would we do for anybody who already has stables or livestock? Would they all have to fill out a new permit by the end of 2024? Is that what we're thinking? Because that was what I would consider grandfathered.
Well, I think we can figure that out. Let's look at this. So,
I haven't seen anything
Yeah.
that would say,
they're
to
not,
that.
we could, what we decided to do, for example, with the funeral directors was tell them they needed to get a permit, but not charge them the fee. So, the first time, and so we could just do that. You know,
yeah,
Say, hey, come get the permit, but since you're already doing it, it's no cost to you. And anybody new that comes in after that is on that fee, the new fee
right,
structure.
because I could just, if you already have it in place, you can just show a picture of what you already have, and if you don't have it in place, you wouldn't have evidence of
Exactly.
the existing structure. Okay, so existing,
Yeah, and that can be part of the fee schedule too, so we don't have to put anything in here to
Yep.
say that. We can just say, you know,
existing
until,
structures prior to the regulation
yeah,
start date or whatever.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
I like that.
So existing stables that are grandfathered in are gonna get the permit this year, sans fee, and then every following year, they'll have to
It
follow
would be,
suit.
It'll be a decision we need to make, but that's an
Okay.
option.
or just any livestock.
But for
like
the
anybody.
remainder of this year and like going into next year?
Yeah, so if you have something now, when we confirm this and put this out, and it will be 2024, then anyone who had livestock on their property prior to the effective date, they can apply for a permit this year free of charge. And then it
And
would be
just get in the
free
books.
going forward, yeah, just to get in the books. And since we're saying it wouldn't be, would you have to inspect the stables every year? So would there be like a fee
I-
every year for them?
Would depend on how the regs are written, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah, there is no currently in here at all for any inspection of stables. We should probably consider doing that, but let's just get this in order first.
yeah, sorry.
And then
Yep.
we'll piece
We
that
can
part
get
in,
that in
because
there.
that's obviously what we want to do, but let's, instead of trying to do stables, then we have to come back and this question's like, let's just
No,
do it all
that's
at
fine.
once.
Yep.
I think that's kind of, that way, most of the structure's here. The next thing we need to look at is just variances, whether we're going to look at applications and variances or just variances. My recommendation would be that we only look at variances that are considered by the board. The applications are handled by the health department. As we do everything else, nothing really comes to the board right now for those sorts of applications. So unless anyone's really hell-bent on reviewing animal regulation, applications as they come in, I think that's probably the best course of action.
I think that's
I
right.
agree. Is that okay with you?
Oh, yeah.
We're giving him power, oh my God.
Can we backtrack to section 5, number B, letter B? The keeping of less than blank chickens shall not require a permit? Were we gonna do anything with that one?
We'll need to set a number. I'm not looking to go too specific on
Okay.
these now. It's more just let's look at it and kind of, if we have thoughts on it right now, let's make up a thing. I'd like to, next meeting, I think the game plan would be let's set those and then also insert said stable things. It gives us a couple weeks to look at it and we can
Okay.
stick them in. And then maybe by the end of the next meeting, we have somewhat of a workable draft we can send to, who's that guy? Greg? And never get back. Or get back wrong.
So
Tell 'em go through.
if we're looking to have it go through the health department, so
Mhm.
there's like sections like 4C, all permitted animals must be by the property which permit is granted unless has documented writing to the satisfaction of the board. Or to be kept elsewhere, would that be like the variant, sorry, that's considered like a variance then?
That's the way I'm understanding it.
Can we maybe make that a little bit clearer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good
so
idea.
just stuff like that, like, I just wanna be able to read this and make it, since this is something we haven't ever really had, it should be
Clear cut, yeah.
super clear cut, like, I can look at this and be like, yeah, I need the permit, even though I've already had these things for 10 years or
Years.
whatever.
We could also change it to say to the satisfaction of the board or their agent.
Yeah,
And that would also, I think, then the health department could have the authority to go, okay, that's good to go.
okay,
So that could be another way to fix that as well.
yeah, sorry, just wanted to.
That's good. If we do decide to do that, we'll probably want to put a definition for the agent in there, we can pull from one of the other regulations.
If we are given the authority to the agent, where it says, satisfaction of the board, it should probably be the, like on page 4, for instance, it says to the satisfaction of the board. If we're giving him the authority, it should be the health agent, right?
Yeah, that's what we were just saying.
Yeah, to the board or their agent.
Right.
And same as on page 6, section 6, hearings, they have the, if we want application or variance request or just variance request, we're saying, at this point, it would be all variance requests
Yeah,
will be considered by the board only after the board conducts a public hearing. And then you get it with the circulation by the Abington Board of Health. Applicants should submit a list of abutters certified by the Abington Board of Assessors with the variant request, like same idea, so.
yeah, that looks like
Yep.
it works as well. Okay.
So that works out.
And then also, if we're going with the same thing, so no person shall erect, occupy, use, rebuild, restruct, alter, this is page 6, 7A, by the way. Structurally change a stable, accessory structure, or corral intended for housing or confining of animals without submitting initial revised plan to the board for its review or in approval. I mean, I'm comfortable enough with sending that to the agent as well. I think,
That was the
if-
whole point, right?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to consider that being part of the other thing, but yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking if you're gonna. bump
Initial
up-
plan, yeah, then that should be.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you're gonna add in stable rigs, like that might be where you wanna add them, cause
Yeah,
that's mostly what we'd be looking at is the construction of a new stable.
yeah, because we can get specific with stables and through there. So I would say then to the board or their agent for its review as well.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Right, in the Abington zoning bylaws, yep.
Yeah, and that's good because that's on them.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's, anything under 10 by 10. It doesn't even,
Mhm.
and that doesn't include, it has to be walled 10 by 10, not fence 10 by 10.
Penalties, it actually says here, a designated agent of the Board of Health may issue a written order to the person, et cetera, so that makes sense.
And then any violation of this regulation shall be subject to fines. So the same thing, we'll have to figure out the fee schedule, but it could, part of those fines if they don't respond as well.
Well, so in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 111, Section 31, is that just the one that gives us the authority? Right, so that's not the one, okay, so it says shall be subject to fines. I didn't know if that was specific to certain fines.
No, that's that's the section that says boards of health may make reasonable health regulations.
Right. Nothing should preclude the board from seeking equitable relief to enforce.
So I get little bumper stickers with that, just that section.
Here before the board, okay. All right, well, those kind of finishes what the, in terms of what those fill in the blanks were. But I think, so let's kind of, how we'll move forward with this. Let's vote on specifically which one of those changes we want to include, or like numbers wise, whatever that is, next meeting. And then also have with us stable regulations we want to have inserted. If there's a particular community we want to look at to try and R&D, rip off and duplicate, then we can. I think there was, actually, we'll just use the list that we used before. We can kind of maybe Frankenstein one together.
Yeah,
that we
Hanover
wanna
had some
include.
really good ones.
Yeah.
The way they laid it out, it was super simple, so I really like that.
Do we want to invite stable owners for any of their input?
Once we get it back from town council, we'll go that route because it's just a draft right now. I'd rather have something to give to them and say, this is what we're looking to do, and they can tell us that they don't like it,
Okay.
than try and craft it and we spend so much time going back and forth that it takes another 6 months before the town council looks at it. When
Okay.
we can probably have them look at it, tell us some things that need to go in and make some small changes.
Okay,
Um,
have something to present, that makes sense.
yeah,
It's only a few. It's only,
there's only so many too, yeah, so. Okay, any further discussion on this before we move on?
Nope.
No. All right, next is to sign the tobacco regulations. nothing fancy here, we're literally just gonna sign these. So I'm just gonna sign it and hand it down. There you are. Your name is written next to it, so just sign next to your name.
I just quadruple check that
Depends on our backing, doesn't it?
it does. Where was that Chelmsford thing?
Can you sign this too?
Or Tingsboro, Harbor Master.
Tisbury and the Harbor Master, we did take that out.
Just had a triple check. Can I borrow a pen?
Yep, sure.
I probably should have a more fancy
Thank you.
signature. It's fine.
Ready to chase down Clay now?
Yeah, or we could leave him in the bin and we'll just have him sign at the next meeting, because it won't go into effect until after. You can actually just give them to him, because it's kind of.
I'll stick him in the bin.
All right, next item on our agenda are to vote to approve the minutes of December 4th. Everyone should have a copy of those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from Monday, December 4th.
Motion to approve the minutes of December 4th by Katie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Amanda. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. All right, those are passed. Public comment. I'm gonna say it's safe to say we have no public to comment.
Yep.
So with that, correspondence. Do you want to mention that thing
No, you have to.
regarding the,
Yeah.
That thing.
yeah, you know more about it than I do, trash related, that we may have had guests here about. We didn't.
Wait, what?
The trash.
Yeah.
Just say
Some,
it.
somebody wanted to come to the meeting. I don't know, you need to be the one to tell it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I was playing that.
I was like, this is exciting. Let's go.
I would butcher it. I need you to go through it.
We did receive some correspondences from a particular resident of the Sawtucket Path condominiums. Had a complaint about our trash pickup. They were being picked up before 7 a.m., which is our, town regulations, is that the trash can't start before 7. We spoke to the driver and we spoke to the company, and they arranged to have it picked up by a commercial truck instead of the residential route truck, and switching it to Thursday. It's been a little bit of a bumpy road, trying to get that sorted out, because when you make a schedule change, there's a lot of wheels in motion. The resident really wasn't happy with that outcome, and did want to come before the board to speak, but as of last Friday, I think we had resolved the situation. That condominium complex, the plan is to pick up their trash on Thursday morning at 7, and they're recycling in the afternoon. If they can't get to it in the afternoon, it would be picked up on Friday morning.
Okay,
So
cool.
Tucket Path is located on what street?
Cleverly.
Cleverly, that's what I thought.
Yeah, the reason I wanted that brought up is I did receive an email asking specifically for me to call this resident and have them invited here. I called them, they didn't pick up the phone, didn't call me back. So anybody is more than welcome to come and air that sort of a grievance here, but there's only so much that this board can do to resolve those things, because we have nothing to do with the contract negotiations, don't work with the drivers. We literally set the disposal regulations, period. So they're more than welcome to come and complain, but there's not much we can do to help, so.
I mean, my experience is unfortunately that they do come, like, I'm like one of the first streets to get picked up, I think, on Tuesdays, and they come right at 7. And sometimes I wish it was 7:15,
Yep, yep.
It's, no, but they start right at 7, they don't really start a second sooner, though.
Because they need all
My
day.
experience is that they do till that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know contractually you guys are working things out, and I'm sure that's something you'll want to talk about with them, but that's health
Yeah.
department and town manager will work with, and
Yeah, and just for the record, our 3-year contract is up June 30th. We're just negotiating now to extend the contract for 1 2-year period.
Nice.
Because we're happy with their service.
Yeah, they've been
Yeah,
good.
They've been good.
Yeah, so I would stress if there are other residents that have trash concerns. One of the problems we run into is sometimes people call Boston Carting. Boston Carting is a very, very large company that services a large area, and if you call, there's a good chance that they don't know what Abington is. depending on who you talk to. The day-to-day operations of our trash service are overseen by the health department, so the people to call are the health department. We're happy to do the best that we can. We've got a good working relationship with the drivers, so usually we're able to resolve conflicts, but, sometimes it's difficult to make everybody happy.
They're super nice to the kids in the morning when they're waiting for the bus. They always wave and beep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Unless there's any other correspondence to share.
Can I ask about these dates?
I was just about to say, in
Okay.
front of you, there are dates
Okay.
for the upcoming Board
Yeah.
of Health meetings. They are roughly the first and third Wednesday, Monday of every Wednesday, Monday of every month, with some holiday variations in there.
Yep.
For example, January 8th will be our next Board of Health meeting due to New Year's, so keep that in mind. These will make their way on the website one way or another. We will get them out there. And 6 o'clock, as normal, will be then those times.
Just April 1st, is that just we would meet prior to the town meeting? The town meeting is April 1st.
Yeah, we typically do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
we were
the
aware
time
of
will
that,
be a
that's
little
all.
different on that.
Yep.
We'll get a
Usually
room.
meet at the high school.
Yeah,
too.
we'll
Yeah, I
get a
think
room in the
that
high
all
school.
committees do, yeah, I just wanted to make sure, sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, unless there's something that's, we don't need to go over a thing or something like that, but actually looking at what we have on our plate, we'll probably have an article or two that needs to go before town meeting. We'll meet and make sure we're good to go on that.
Cool.
Thanks for doing that.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we'll have them all written out.
Absolutely. So those will be through on the websites. If anybody has questions about them, bother me. I'll give you an answer. May not be the one you want, but it'll be an answer. So,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
oh, you're way ahead of me. Love it. Motion to adjourn by Katie, second by Kevin. Any further discussion? Nope, you don't do that there. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned, I think.